So now we can go and jump back to the main buffer, swap the buffers, zoom back out, and see what happens with that. Now if I paint on this, I might regret it. So one thing we need to do is either work with layers or perhaps store this image so we can easily go back to that, right? Because if I do something here and I've done too much of it that I cannot therefore undo, because after a while you run out of undo levels, what you could do is you could just click here, right, snapshot to go back to really quickly. And so at this point, if I draw from here to here, that's the wrong direction. I need to draw in the other one. Let's use U for undo. There you go. Too close together. So let's increase the step distance here. Okay. Yeah, perhaps still a bit too close, but I mean, you get the idea. You can experiment here until you get it the way you want it. Now this is one way to do it, and that's by working with internal brushes, which ask no questions. If you want to resize or rotate them, it will do it, because it's a fairly quick thing to do on small images. There are advantages though on using a different type of image, and those are called large images, and therefore custom brushes with large images. One thing you could do is actually take this existing image that you see here and converting that to a custom brush. Then you can also make it bigger, and you can manage it in a couple of other ways by going through the store option that lets you manage the stored brush. Now before you do that though, you need to convert it to a custom brush, and I keep forgetting where. Oh, I think it's right over here. If you look in here, the menu for the pre-built brushes, there is a converter right here, internal to custom. It won't make it bigger, but you have the option to then make it bigger yourself, or you can do a lot of other things to that as well. So internal to custom, you can grab it here, or you can also right click on the tool, the brush tool, and when you do that, you'll see again here the option internal to brush. Select that, so your internal brush of this image that's showing here has now been converted to a custom brush. Okay, and that means we can go to the store option in the brush menu, where custom brushes can be held, and there's a couple of new things we can experiment with. First of all, it looks very much the same if I paint with that. Well, not exactly. Okay, this one now actually is in a mode which is the color mode. It's showing the color that's actually in the brush. Well, if I want, I can say no, let's use it as a matte, and then it operates more the way that the internal brushes were. So a matte, basically when it's dark, it's showing the color that you have currently selected. And for instance, if you use cyan, you therefore will see the cyan colors again. Let's go and undo that. And jump back. I'm gonna use shortcut J for jump, go back here. So now I'm working with the custom brush, and whenever you choose here, it's gonna not just remember this image, it's gonna use any parameters that you had there as well. And for instance, if you go in the custom brush, in the brush settings here, you may change it to matte and operate it that way, but the moment you click on this brush, the stored open, it resets it to whatever is stored with this association, with this instance. So keep that in mind. If you have multiple stored brushes, whenever you click on that, you get all the parameters of that stored instance with it. That's really great, because therefore you don't work with just an image, you work with all the parameters of it too. But you can then go and further refine these parameters too. Now, the angle, let's have a look what happens here. Okay, first of all, let's get the step a little bit bigger. Okay, so right now the angle is not active. Bingo. And if I activate it, it's still not active. Why is that? Well, that's because it's a custom brush now. It didn't do that when it was a internal brush, because it was a small image and it didn't ask questions, do you really want to do that? It just said, oh, it's a small image, we can convert that for you. Rotate it as we need to, as we draw the brush stroke. Rescale it, resize it randomly with the speed or whatever. But those are operations that are quite time consuming, and when you're dealing with large images, I mean really large, even bigger than the canvas on which you're painting, those custom brushes that use large images could potentially take too long to rotate on a slow system. So we leave it for you to make that decision as to whether you want to allow the custom brush transform. Not the positioning, not the random position, that's a quick one, that doesn't take much time. But the rotation and the scaling, those will be requiring, if you're doing a custom brush, if you're using a custom brush, you will require that you say, yep, it's okay to transform those custom brushes. So you need to allow that. And where do you do that? Well, of course, in the brush settings. Not in the main tab, it's in the custom tab. Right here, there's an option that allow custom brush transform. Click on that. Okay, and now it will line up, because now it says, oh yeah, look at that, I can actually rotate now. Okay, or I can scale it. If you set the size here, as you press harder or lighter, it will change the scale. Okay, whereas before, if you disallowed that, even with pressure enabled, it will not do that. It will not change the scale unless you allow it. Scale and rotations are fairly time consuming, and for custom brushes we want to make sure that you say, yep, I got a fast computer, I can do that. Alright, I hope this helps. With that, you can basically start painting and creating your layout of leaves. One easy way to do that also is if you jump back to, see, if I jump back now, I have one image here and one image here. Both of them have that the tree, the trunk, and the branches. And so if I go to the other one here, maybe I can erase that, but I can still see it at the same time without jumping to it. I can go here and enable, right click on that, and you can say swap mixing, right? Where is it? Well, swap mixing, there, enable that. It's basically just click this, same thing. And this image of the tree is not actually in this. It's like a layer. It's kind of similar to a layer. It's just a little bit different. But what you can do with it is you can paint over it here. And when you do that, of course, you might not see it. Oh, yeah, you need the right transform size, or maybe we don't need this. Okay. And so at this time, you can go and put your leaves there, and if for some reason you don't like it, well, what we did is not actually paint it over the tree itself. You can undo that, and you can see we have a separate layer or a separate system here, the custom, the main buffer and the swap buffer. This one here contains the image, and if we blend them, the image of the leaves is being blended together with the image of the tree itself. So that's basically a quick way to get started with illustrating your leaves, and there's many other ways, especially once you have this custom brush. You can go and explore different sizes, right? So now you have larger leaves here. You can explore different colors. You can add red, green, and blue. So let's add a little bit more green, or a lot more green. And of course, right now I'm not in the matte mode, I'm in the color mode, so it's using the color that's actually inside the image, and it's a well, it's a very black one, so adding green to that is not going to change a whole lot if it's in a multiplicative mode. If I'm in a matte mode, then that's where we will have a little bit more success as we change the colors. But you know, it varies a lot also. It depends on what's actually in the image to begin with. If it's black, then it's a little bit less interesting, but you can definitely work it in a matte mode, and in that case you have a variety of different colors you can choose from as well. Alright, hope this helps. We'll be looking at a few more options really soon. This one was just needed to cover a couple of basic essentials on the use of the internal brush and the custom brush, and I hope this will be useful for you. Thanks for watching.